Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. Islamic State militants in Syria and Iraq now have about 20,000 to 31,500 fighters on the ground, the Central Intelligence Agency has said, much higher than a previous estimate of 10,000. French President François Hollande is visiting Baghdad in a show of support to the Iraqi government as global efforts to defeat jihadist fighters intensifies. 43 reservists from Israel's elite army intelligence unit have announced their refusal to serve, accusing the military of abuses against Palestinians in a letter published today. Suspected al-Qaeda militants have shot dead a Yemeni intelligence officer in the restive southern province of Lajir, near his home in Tuta. And Russia's parliamentary speaker Sergei Naryshkin has denounced new US sanctions against Moscow as disconnected from reality and stated the Ukraine crisis was an excuse for Washington to drum up tensions. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting in Lebanon, the Daily Star reports that after many weeks of intensive rationing, Beirut's electricity supply might return to normal in 2 days, after the company found another way to get the tools to carry out the required repairs. The paper also reports that a Syrian delegation met with Lebanese forces leader Sameh Jarjah to seek shelter for Iraqi Christians who have been displaced by the advance of Islamist militants. Egypt Independent leads reporting that Giza police arrested 5 people for allegedly sexually assaulting a woman in Saft al-Laban. The paper also reports that Arab League Secretary General Nabil al-Arabi said international reports show the terrible destruction by the Israeli aggression on the infrastructure, hospitals, schools, mosques, electricity and water stations in Gaza. And from the UAE, the Khalij Times reports that key Arab allies of the US agreed on Thursday to do their share to fight against the ISIS group, promising to take action to stop the flow of fighters and funding to the militants and possibly to join military action. The paper also reports that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President of the UAE, has reiterated the country's resolve to provide assistance to international organizations helping refugees across the world. Now let's take a look at top Middle East headlines from UK papers. The Guardian leads its Middle East news reporting that 43 veterans of one of Israel's most secretive military intelligence units, many of them still active reservists, have signed a public letter refusing to serve in operations involving the occupied Palestinian territories because of the widespread surveillance of innocent residents. The paper says they allege that the all-encompassing intelligence the unit gathers on Palestinians, much of it concerning innocent people, is used for political persecution and to create divisions in Palestinian society. The Independent reports that David Cameron is to urge MPs to support airstrikes against ISIS in Iraq, but is unlikely to ask them to approve military action in Syria against the militant extremist group. The paper says soundings by whips suggest there could be a majority in the 3 main parties for action in Iraq, where the new government is expected to request such intervention, but not in Syria. And the Telegraph reports that François Hollande arrived in Baghdad to meet the Iraqi president this morning. The paper says the visit, however, offered the unpopular French president little respite from his domestic woes, with Nicolas Sarkozy's comeback plans continuing to make headlines as the former conservative president prepares to bid to regain power. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in international papers. From Germany, the Deutsche Welle reports that German and British foreign ministers said on Thursday that their countries would not participate in all airstrikes in Syria. The statements were in response to an address the previous day by US President Barack Obama that said the US planned to expand its military campaign against the Islamic State. The paper says Germany's foreign minister, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, rejected the idea of participating in the airstrikes, saying, "We have neither been asked to do that, nor will we do that." And finally, from the US, the New York Times reports that President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority said Thursday night that he had reached an agreement with Israel and the United Nations to allow imports of reconstruction materials into the Gaza Strip, apparently bypassing Hamas to fulfill a key tenet of the ceasefire agreement that halted hostilities on August 26th. And for more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching. That's it from us today. Bye for now.